All right, Cody, let's switch gears to Super Bowl matchup. This is possibly one of the worst Super Bowls for Raider fans we could have, especially from last offseason. Obviously, there were talks about Tom Brady possibly coming to Las Vegas before he went to Tampa Bay. And then obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the AFC West champions for the last few years now. And so it gets really annoying to keep seeing the Chiefs go to the playoffs and the Raiders basically stay at 8-8. But we're not really going to talk about the Raiders here. We're going to talk about, the Super Bowl. Kansas City versus Tampa Bay in Tampa. Mm-hmm. And Kansas City is going to be the home team, I assume. Anyway, they might just be like, just let the Buccaneers wear their home jerseys. This is, if you're a Raider fan, yes, of course, this isn't what you want to see. But if you're a football fan, this is a really good matchup. I mean, obviously, you have Tom Brady, the oldest quarterback in the NFL. No question, greatest of all time that we've ever seen. If you feel like that's the wrong statement, I don't know what to tell you. He's been to 10 Super Bowls. I don't know if you understand how freaking hard that is. If you're a Raider fan, you should absolutely understand how hard that is. That our team hasn't been to a Super Bowl or a playoff. No, it hasn't been to a Super Bowl since 2002. We got to the playoffs a few years ago and just completely stunk it up and haven't been back since. So just getting into the playoffs is hard. And now trying to get into the Super Bowl, and a guy by himself is getting there by 10 times is absolutely incredible. Patrick Mahomes he could rival Tom Brady. I think if we're thinking about who could possibly take the reins from Tom Brady, it could potentially be Patrick Mahomes. And man, this is an exciting game. I'm really looking forward to it. Cody, first, what are your thoughts on this game? And who do you think is going to come out on top? All that jazz.
So I'm, as a football fan, I'm very excited. This is probably the best scenario in terms of Super Bowl we could have asked for, with the two high-powered offenses that go at it. So this isn't going to be like a defense versus offense kind of scenario. And I know that you're a big fan of the Bucs defense. I'm not a believer in them. They're so-so. They did enough to, be a bend and don't break. They apply pressure when needed, but they are not an elite defense by any means. Nothing that has previously been in the Super Bowl. So I think this is going to be a really fun game. What my prediction and what I can foresee seeing is very similar to what happened when the Bucs and the Chiefs met earlier in the season. And it's not to say that the Bucs won't be prepared. I'm sure that obviously each team has got 2 weeks to study against one another. I still think, though, the Chiefs have the better of the offense in terms of, defensive playing. I feel like the Chiefs' coverage is going to be a little bit better against against Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Now, if AD plays, that might be a little bit different of a question, just because he's like a number one receiver that is an outside the numbers or can be a slot receiver. So that's questionable. But I think overall the Chiefs have a more higher power offense. They have Kelsey, they have Hill, they have Hilaire. They've got obviously Bell if he ever plays, and then you got Patrick Mahomes that can throw it everywhere. And one of the things too that kind of works in the Chiefs' favor is I feel like they have a better defense, and Tom Brady against the Green Bay Packers that doesn't have a good defense. He threw 3 interceptions. And Tom Brady is known as he's older. Yes, he's throwing for a bajillion yards and a lot of touchdowns at being 43, but he's also throwing quite a bit of interceptions. And he's bound to make chances, especially at the Super Bowl. So, that gives the Chiefs a great opportunity to, really, do what they can. I know that for Josh Allen, he's like a mobile quarterback. They were able to sack him 4 times, and they got him to commit a turnover. I know the Buccaneers defense applied more pressure to Aaron Rodgers, but, for the most part, I foresee the Chiefs winning in this. I think they'll do what they always do. They blow out to huge leads, and then they kind of just manage it from there. But I mean, it's going to be a really great showing because knowing Tom Brady, he's not going down without a fight. I think it's going to be like a last minute, barrage of points to like get it close. But I think the Chiefs end up winning. And, in terms of like, if you love offensive football, you're going to love this. If you're more of a defensive guy, don't watch it. You're not going to like it.
I think you're right that you're going to have a high scoring. I think both teams are going to be in the 30s. I believe that for sure. Talking about the turnovers from Tom Brady, he threw 3 picks. And I was watching the game with my wife, and she was mainly on TikTok. But I leaned over and I started laughing, and she was like, "What?" And it was Tom Brady's. It was his second interception. And she goes, "Why are you laughing?" And I go, "Tom Brady got so cocky in this game that he threw just this lob pass. It was an absolute lob, and it wasn't the one where he was getting pressured. He just kind of stepped back, and threw it up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was for Mike Evans." And they picked him off, and it was just like, why did he throw that? Like, and I was just like, he obviously was throwing that because he was so confident. He got so cocky. He was making all these throws throughout the whole game, and then in the second half, he got way too cocky. And here's the thing. This is why having Bill Belichick was such a great thing for Tom Brady. I'm not questioning that Tom Brady is not great without Bill Belichick. I think he's still a great quarterback. I'm not arguing that. My argument is Tom Brady, when he gets cocky, Bill Belichick would put him in check. Say, "Listen, dude, I understand you're making all these throws. You're a great quarterback, but we cannot go away from a win. We cannot let them back in the game." Tom Brady single-handedly brought the Packers back into this game. The 3 turnovers didn't end up killing them, and that's why the Buccaneers won, was because the Packers could not capitalize on those 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what is not going to happen with the Chiefs. This Chiefs team not only are skilled, exactly who you were talking about, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mecole Hardman, obviously Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback in our opinion in the game right now. He's not going to be going 3 and out. Mm-hmm. The Packers, although they have a good offense, they do not have that Chiefs offense. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones had a absolute crap game this week. And then he ended up getting injured. And so the Packers and their offensive line is not – I know they were talking about their offensive line is decent. It is. The Buccaneers' offensive line is good. So I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to put as much pressure as they did against Josh Allen. But the key thing is what you said. Tom Brady is not a scrambler like Josh Allen is. So you know where Tom Brady's going to be at all the time.
Yeah.
And for defensive linemen, they lick their chops at that. And honestly, that's what the Chiefs did last year, where they were so pleased that they were just able to get to the quarterback. It just felt like every time there was pressure on the quarterback, and obviously the Chiefs ended up winning the whole thing. The Chiefs they're not great on defense. I've always said this. I never thought their defense is that great. To be perfectly honest, their league ranking on defense, they're 16th in the league, and Tampa Bay is 6th. Now, do I think they're 16th? I think there might be a little bit better. But I think it's one of those things where when they need to turn it on, they can turn it on, and they can be a top 10 defense. But when in the regular season, they kind of let a few things go. They try and do some different things. And I think that's where they get into the 16th rank. Tyrann Mathieu is not my favorite. I don't think he's as good as a lot of people say he is, but he is a really good blitzer. He's a good pass rusher when they need him to. He's a good blitzer. he's good at pass coverage. He's not great at, honestly, at any one thing, maybe other than like tackling. He's a really good tackler. That really does help. But he is a spark for that defense. He just gets his guys just sparked up, and they're like, "Let's go."
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jones had a really good game last week against the Bills. They have some good defensive guys. They really do. And do I think their corners are going to like dominate? No. But another thing that does concern me is in the Packers Buccaneers game, the connection between Tom Brady and Mike Evans was so bad. It was so bad. Not only was it Mike Evans, he dropped a couple of passes. There were a couple of passes where Tom Brady just sailed it on him. And like I said, the lob pass that he had, I don't know what's going on with Tom Brady and Mike Evans, but they need to get it together. Because right now, Chris Godwin, for some reason, has lost some confidence, and he's just dropping a lot of passes. So Tom Brady has tried to go to Mike Evans a little bit more, and it hasn't been connecting either. And without AB, I think that also hurts them. Gronk is not who Gronk once was. I mean, he'll have a couple of catches here and there. Cameron Braid is a nice player, but the other thing that I really worry about for both of these teams is the running game. The running game for the Buccaneers, they are 28th in the league. Ronald Jones had a couple of good games, and everyone was like, oh, the Buccaneers have a good running back. But Jones really hasn't done anything since, and he was injured the last 2 weeks. You have Leonard Fournette, who had a couple of good plays, but honestly was not running well. He wasn't killing the Packers. They really weren't running all that well. And then, I mean, who's the other guy that they have? I can't think of his name right now, but that should really go to show you how good the running game is. But just like what you said, if Le'Veon Bell plays, I really hope he does, because he will provide, as well as Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Both of those guys will really keep that Buccaneers defense honest. They're not going to be able to double cover Tyreek Hill all the time. They're not going to be able to double cover Travis Kelce. They're probably not going to double, if Sammy Watkins plays, because I know he's been out last 2 weeks. And then Mecole Hardman, who's really fast, speedy guy. And you saw his resurgence. I mean, he fumbled that ball last week. We've all seen the video, I think, now where Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce went up to him and was like, hey, man, let's get going. It's all right. Don't worry about it. We're going to get you the ball. And Patrick Mahomes, the next drive, threw a touchdown to Mecole Hardman. So, and everyone forgot about the fumble. I mean, that is what good teams do, and they're a really good team. This is a scary team. I think right now, at this moment, I'm leaning towards the Chiefs. I think we're going to hold off on having our picks until next week, but I'm leaning towards the Chiefs.